You need all those papers, don't you? You weren't here Monday, were you?
Yeah.
You got all the papers? Okay, all right, good. Morning, Megan.
Oh, no.
All right, go get your laptop. Okay? Okay. Let's see. I can't even speak. I can't write. I got ticked off at Sonic this morning. I placed my order on the app, I drive up, I put my number in, and it says, your order's on its way. Nobody comes, and cars come and go, and I'm not happy. And I go to the Sonic all the time.
Which one is it?
That's the one at, 64th and Frankfurt. It's real close to my house. It's a little one. But it's right there, and it's really busy. They actually have had to close down. It's got, the rows that are right next to the building. It has one more row on the far side.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to close that down because they can't get enough people to work. It's not good. It's kind of sad, isn't it?
That was my first job, Sonic, at the car hop.
And I tip. I try to tip 20% of whatever, of a drink, that's 20 cents, But then you do enough of those in happy hour, and you can make $12 doing that, so, which is not bad. Let's see, grammar worksheet. Subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement.
Most people don't think that, the change adds up. I've made $100 in change one night.
Yeah.
These people are just like, oh, just give me the dollar bill and keep change.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Morning, Claire. Megan, did you by chance do the deep peer, either of you do the deep peer revision? I need that to give you credit. Okay, I forgot to ask about it. The one, that we went over on last Wednesday, where you had to do all that, count those sentences and the words and the things like that. You were, no, you have to turn it into me. Yeah, where I can see it's just where you show me where you made changes from your draft, what you were going to fix.
Oh,
Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome. Lorenzo, I'll be seeing you guys at 9 o'clock on Friday, okay? All right? How many do I have from Lorenzo? I keep forgetting. I don't have it written down anywhere. One, let's see. 2,
we have
3.
a total of 4, but one of us
There's
had
4
surgery.
of you? Is it 4?
Yeah, but Alex had surgery yesterday, so he's not here.
Wait, hold on, let me get closer. What about somebody's surgery?
We originally have 4, but Alex had surgery yesterday, so he's not gonna be here.
Okay, so it'll just be the 3 of us. All right, cool. All right, okay. Well, I'll bring donuts. All right. So Alex had surgery. Ooh, what did they have to do?
He had a.
The what?
He had a tear in his shoulder. It was like liberal. I think it was like a labral tear.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good. That kind of puts the kibosh on football and maybe basketball for a while, wouldn't it? Shoulder surgery. It's hard to put those together. Okay, hopefully what we're going to do first is we're going to look at subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement. The page looks like this. These are the 2 best pages about these 2 particular major grammatical errors, okay? So hang on to this. If you have it when you take the test, you should ace it. I'll just tell you, okay? Because it's wonderful. But now the thing that some of these already know is that I have put back, originally had the subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent grammar quiz 2 set up for this Friday. I've pushed it back to next Friday because I just don't think today going over it and you taking the test on Friday is I don't think it's a good combination for you to do well. All right, so we're doing that. So all you have to do on Friday now is the outline, where you take this little form. Let's go over here to the document camera. This one, and you put your two subjects in, and you tell me your valuative criteria. You give me a thesis statement that says, basically says, when comparing the two items, by looking at these things, you can see which one's better, something along those lines, okay? And this is a writable Word document, so it shouldn't be any problems. You should be able to do it easily, okay? So that's due Friday by midnight. The only other comment I have is that I still have people who have not completed that introductory discussion board, where you were supposed to answer those questions and then respond to 3 people. If you haven't done the responses, I will never see it, so you've got to do that. Okay, let's go. Here we go. So let's go talk about this and go over it very quickly. I hope you've got a pen or a pencil in hand, because I'm going to tell you what's important and things to hang on to with that, okay? I really don't. How do you get rid of that? I don't know enough about. Oh, there we go. If I click that, it works. Okay. All right, so subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement. This is basically all parts of a sentence have to agree. So if your subject is plural, then your verb has to be plural. And if you're talking about, the men's cars, you have to make sure cars is plural when you talk about it. So everything has to agree, and the verb has to match. But the interesting thing about the English language, particularly in present tense, is if your subject is plural, your verb will not have an S on it. Isn't that strange? They run to the store. He runs to the store. See, he is singular, runs is S, so it sounds like it's plural because it has an S, right? Isn't that strange? That's English language for you, basically. But the word antecedent, that's the other thing we need to be familiar with, is used to describe the noun that the pronoun is renaming. And that's one of those tough ones to keep up with. So that's why when you say, you begin your essay with, we went on vacation, and that's all you say in your first sentence, who's we? I don't know who we is. So as the reader, you have to have an antecedent. You have to have the word that the pronoun's renaming somewhere in there for me to know. I'm looking at, by the way, I'm not grading your papers first. I'm grading my 9 o'clock section is the first section I'm doing. And the second paper talks about how I did something, and then all of a sudden it says, we did this, and we did that, and we did that, but it never tells me who we is. And then we becomes, and then I did this, and it's very confusing. You have to watch out for those pronouns. That's why my rule of thumb is use the noun in the first sentence, the next sentence use a pronoun. This is just something I developed myself. The third sentence after that, use a noun, some form of the noun again. Then use, so alternate. Don't always use pronouns, don't always use the nouns, just to break it up. Okay. So it says if the subject is plural, the verb should be plural, and any pronoun referring back to the subject or the antecedent should be plural. Because like somebody said, we are living our life. But if we is a plural word and you say we are living our life, it has to be we are living our lives. Because we is more than one person, and we don't all share one life, do we? So here's some examples that they talk about what's going on. You have Bill and Sue, that's plural subject, right? 2 people is plural, 1 is singular. If you ever see me put in the number sign, these need to agree in number. I'm talking about singular and plural is what I'm talking about with that, because that's the only number that's in English, is singular or plural. So Bill and Sue drive, that's a plural verb, their cars to school. So look how it's Bill and Sue, that's they're driving, and they're not driving a single car, they're driving their cars. So see how everything has to agree. So there has to be cars. If I say car, then that implies that they're in one car together, correct? So John drives his car to school. You can see the same thing. A singular subject, a singular verb, has that dadgum S on it, and his car to school. Everything's singular. John singular, drives a singular, his is singular, and car is singular. So remember that nouns and their respective pronouns must agree in person, I, me, you, and all that stuff, number, and gender. And sometimes they'll tell you can, be fluid, replacing with he or she. If you give something a gender, you need to stick with that gender, okay? And they have not come up with a non-gender, specific pronoun. Somebody, I guess, unless you say it, but if you call a person an it, it's dehumanizing when you do that. It's not a very nice thing to do. So here, right here, the following words are considered singular and take singular verb and pronoun. So if it has one in it, it's always singular. When you say everyone must take their cars to the stop sign, you can't say that. Everyone is always singular. See what we're talking about there? So one, anyone, someone, and everyone, always singular. Put an asterisk by this so that you'll know it, so that when you see the word one as part of any other word, that pronoun is always singular. And when you see body, how many is body? Body is only one. So nobody, anybody, somebody, everybody. I know in our minds we said everybody. That's 5 of us in this classroom, isn't it? No, it's a body. Body is singular. See, that's what drives that. And then these, neither, or neither, either, neither, either, and each, and every. I'm going to throw every in there too. So it won't let me write, yeah. I'm going to have to figure out what I did. So these are always singular. So that's just big asterisk so that you'll see, somebody needs to go get his dog off of the street. I wouldn't say somebody needs to get their dog off the street, okay? I have to say his or her. So look at what they give you examples. One of my friends serves as a representative for a dormitory floor. Okay, here's the interesting thing. Of my friends has nothing to do with the subject of the sentence. It is a prepositional phrase. Intervening prepositional phrases mess us up all the time because a lot of students will write, one of my friends serve as a representative for his dormitory floor. You see what happens there? You're picking up a friends as plural, and that's why you make the verb incorrect. So on the test, when you take it, watch for intervening prepositional phrases, okay? Either of the girls makes a good choice because of her dependability. Either, right there, it's always singular. Of the girls, there's that prepositional phrase again. But I have to ignore that when I'm coming up with the verb. Either makes a good choice for her dependability. So see how her is also singular? Either is singular. Right, we know her is a possessive pronoun, right? Okay. All right, each of the students, there it is again. There's another intervening prepositional phrase. So circle those so you'll know to look for those. All right, circle of my friends, of the girls, of the students. Circle those intervening prepositional phrases and realize they have nothing to do with determining if the subject is singular or plural. The next sentence is a little bit different. Everyone is expected to take his hat off when the flag goes by. Everyone's singular. I wouldn't say everyone. I would say, if I were going to use a plural, the audience, oh, that's a tough one. The audience are expected. The people are expected. The people, I wouldn't say the people is. The people are expected to take their hats off when the flag goes by. See how that's plural? But everyone is expected to take his hat off when the flag goes by. And nobody wants to take on cleaning the basement as her spring project. So this is what, at the bottom of the page, it talks about the problem. You may struggle with pronoun choice in sentences using words like anyone, everyone, all of those, each. If these words are singular in meaning and the pronoun referring back to them has to be singular, are you supposed to use the feminine her or the masculine him? Using one or the other may insult some people. Using any version like his or her or his/her is also awkward. Just pick one gender and stick with it. All right? So, because if you say everyone likes to have his paycheck early, I could say her paycheck early. But then I've given gender to, I give gender to that first pronoun that when I do that. Okay, so that's just kind of talks about there. So this is for your writing. The problem is more involved with your writing when you use one of those. Whereas the stuff about highlighting those, circling those prepositional phrases so that you can realize they have nothing to do with subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement. Except, the only thing here on the second one, either of the girls makes a good choice because of her dependability. You have to select her because girls is feminine. Right? Make sense? Maybe? Okay. one more time. All right, let's go to the next page. So, they give you some suggestions. If workable, this is the second page, right? Yeah. If workable, change the complete sentence, subject, verb, and pronoun to plural version so that the pronouns they and them can be used. I don't care, last year, somebody said that there was going to be able to be used as singular or plural. No, this is English land, it is plural. It's always plural. And it bugs me when I see it being used as a singular pronoun. A singular usage is more appropriate, make sure you do it, but be careful about the gender reference, okay? So, it says here, you can vary your usage of the feminine and the masculine pronouns, but all I can say is particularly if you're writing a narrative and the gender of the pronoun you're using changes, that sounds like a different character, doesn't it? So you need to be consistent. All right, now we come down to collective ones. These are collective or group words which take a singular verb and singular pronoun. If you are thinking of the group as a unit or whole, but take a plural verb and a plural pronoun if you're thinking of the individuals in the group. So group, committee. So it depends on what's being said in the sentence with these words, whether they're singular or plural. Crowd. The crowd cheered their team. That would be everybody cheering for their team. So that would make it a plural one. Okay. Actually, I should say the crowd cheers for their team. That's what I should say. If I say the crowd cheered, that makes them individuals. It's got to be the crowd cheers for their team. Okay. Family, number, band, flock, class. Most of you probably aren't going to be using the word flock unless you're writing about sheep or birds. Dozen, choir, corporation, heap, lot. Notice it doesn't say a lot, it says lot. He was in a heap of trouble, right? Isn't that something we say here in Texas, a heap of trouble? Audience, jury, herd, and public. So they're going to give you some examples, but one of them's got to deal with, please notice with jury, if the jury came in and took their seat, the jury comes in and takes their seats. They can't all sit in the same seat, so it has to be a plural noun, because it's talking about 12 people or 7 or however many are on the jury. But if I say the jury reached its decision, there's only one decision reached by a jury. You don't have individual decisions from each member. So are we clear on that? You're looking at me like you're not sure.
Well, isn't it just one jury, but multiple people are in one jury?
But you have multiple people in a jury. That's why you have to say the jury takes their seats. The jury comes to its decision. There's only one decision reached by a jury. You don't get, well, this half of the jury thinks he's guilty, this half thinks he's innocent. You can't do that. It's one decision. So it has to be what's going on in the sentence that tells you whether it's singular or plural. So when you look at the examples, the team was ready to play its game. It's not like everybody on the team played their own game. Sometimes it looks like it out there, right? Or they're not, okay. But the team, yeah, think about it. If they're all out there running, and if you've ever watched some junior high football games, okay? My grandson they won on Monday. They won their first game. They beat Cavazos. All right. Sorry. It's not, and we're at Lowry Field, so you have, like 15 people in the stands and, all these little middle school boys, 7th grade boys out there with funny. But the team were all suited up for their pictures. But look at that second sentence. The team were all suited up for their pictures. They can't all be in the same uniform, and they can't all be, you know what I'm saying? They're all taking individual pictures is what this is telling you. So see how the team in that one is plural. We're talking about all the individual members. We're suited up, all in their uniforms, and they all got their pictures made, okay? But the team was ready to play its game because the team only plays one game. My family is behind me with all its support. The family is thought of as a singular unit. Everybody supports me. They're always there for me, okay? But here, my family are all scattered, as you can see by their addresses. They don't all live, my family doesn't all live together. My son lives in a house. My daughter lives in another house. My sister-in-law's there and another sister-in-law's, you know what I'm saying? They're all scattered. So you have to think about what's being said in the sentence. And then they give you, here's some special ones. I'll have to shrink back down on this one, okay? These are some special constructions. And they tell this to you. This is, remember how I said on the other page, circle those prepositional phrases. Here it talks about it. Constructions like prepositional phrases that come between a subject and a verb and its antecedent do not change the agreement of these sentence elements. So that's why I said circle of the, every time you have that prepositional phrase, so that you know that has no effect on it. Here's another one. Here we go. This is a prepositional phrase. I give it to you. My father, as well as his two friends, enjoys his walk around the neighborhood. As well as his two friends is just a long prepositional phrase giving you some non-essential information. See how it's set off by those commas? So it's just my father enjoys his walks around the neighborhood. My father is singular, so the verb has the S. The chairperson, along with the board members, believes that her position is right. See, it's that same thing. So particularly when something is separated out by commas, it's not essential to the meaning of the sentence. Number 2 says when subjects are joined by either or, neither nor, and not only and but also, and some of you have already seen me say, if you have a not only at the beginning of your sentence, you must have a but also at the end. These are paired conjunctions, so if you have one, you have to have the other. But what it tells you here, this is pretty cool. Put a big star by this one. The verb and the pronoun agree with the subject closer to them, so you go, not only my father, but my brothers also like to swim. You'll go by the one that's closest to the verb. So see how they've got, during a game, not only the coach, but also the players show their emotions. You ignore what happens before the but also. Are you with me on that? See it? So I wish I could, right there. So ignore what happens in front. All you have to deal with is the subject-verb agreement comes after the but also. During a game, not only the players, but also the coach shows his intention. So see how by switching the sentence, players becomes the subject, and its players show their emotions. The coach shows his emotions. So put a big asterisk by that, because I'm sure that there's one of those on that test. And here's another one. This is another one, maybe not as big an asterisk. When the subjects of a sentence are preceded by each or every, both the verb and the pronoun should be singular. Each university and college has its own special requirements. So each makes both college and university singular. So you have the singular verb, which has the S on it, and it's a singular. So that's kind of interesting. But when you put each or every in front of it, each movie theater and stage show has its own charge. See how I can make lots of sentences like that, okay? And this is from Merrimack College Writing Center, but it's very concise. It has everything you need there to do subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement. And so when you take that test, that's all you look at is subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent. So you have to look at because it's all affected. If the subject's plural, the verb has to be plural, no S. And the pronoun has to be plural, and that they all have to agree. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll circle everything and draw lines between them to show you that these all should have been the same, okay? And that is subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent agreement. So if you've got your laptops, open them up. We need to go into the e-textbook, and we're going to look at page 317. We're going to do, it is a reading. It's a really nice compare and contrast essay written by a professional. Let's see if it's on it. There it is. It's called Born to be Different by Camille Lewis. I just in case, if you're curious to know what your book actually looks like, this is what the book looks like when it's not an e-book. And what's interesting, it's on page 318 in this book. But I'm going to read this to you, and then we're going to work on the questions together, okay? It's not super long, but it's, and I don't know why they didn't indent the first line of that paragraph. But it's called Born to be Different. So when you're reading, you should look at the title, because that's kind of may give you an idea what it's about. Some years ago, when my children were very young, I cut a cartoon out of a magazine and taped it to my refrigerator. It showed a young couple welcoming friends over for Christmas. The host rather proudly announced that instead of dolls, they'd given their little daughter her own set of tools. And sure enough, the second panel shows their little girl playing in her room, a wrench in one hand and a hammer in the other. But she's making the wrench say, "Would you like to go to the prom, Barbie?" And the hammers answer, "Oh, Ken, I'd love to." Oh my, did that cartoon strike a chord? I grew up with Ms. Magazine and the National Organization of Women and a firm belief that gender differences were learned, not inborn. Other parents may have believed that pink and baby dolls and kindergarten teaching were for girls and blue and trucks and engineering were for boys, but by golly, my kids were going to be different. They were just going to be people. They were going to be raised free of all that harmful gender indoctrination. They were just going to be people. I don't remember exactly when I began to suspect I was wrong. Maybe it was when my 3-year-old son, raised in a no-weapons household, bit his toast into a gun shape and tried to shoot the cat. Maybe it was when his younger brother nearly levitated out of his car seat, joyously crowing, "Backo!" upon spotting his first piece of earth-moving equipment. Maybe it was when my little daughter first lined up her stuffed animals and began teaching them their ABCs and bandaging their boo-boos. It wasn't that my sons couldn't be sweet and sensitive, or that my daughter wasn't sometimes rowdy and boisterous, but I had to rethink my earlier assumptions. Despite my best efforts not to impose gender-specific expectations on them, my boys and my girl were, well, different, really different. Slowly and hesitantly, medical and psychological researchers have begun confirming my observations. The notion that the differences between the sexes, beyond the obvious anatomical ones, are biologically based is fraught with controversy. Such beliefs can easily be misinterpreted and used as the basis for harmful, oppressive stereotypes. They can be overstated and exaggerated into blanket statements about what men and women can and can't do. I love the quotation marks, like can and can't do. About what the genders are good and bad at. And yet the unavoidable fact is that studies are making it ever clearer that as groups, men and women differ in almost every measurable aspect. Learning about those differences helps us understand why men and women are simultaneously so attracted and fascinated, and yet so frequently stymied and frustrated by the opposite sex. To dig into what it really means to be masculine and feminine helps to depersonalize our responses to one another's behavior, to avoid the "my perceptions and behaviors are normal, yours don't make sense" trap. Our differences are deep-rooted, hardwired, and present from the moment of conception. To begin with, let's look at something as basic as the anatomy of the brain. Typically, men have larger skulls and brains than women, but the sexes score equally well on intelligence tests. This apparent contradiction is explained. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, I jumped ahead. This apparent contradiction is explained by the fact that our brains are apportioned differently. Women have about 15% more gray matter than men. Gray matter, made up of nerve cells and the branches that connect them, allows the quick transference of thought from one part of the brain to the other. We're quicker. Okay. This high concentration of gray matter helps explain women's ability to look at many sides of an argument at once and to do several tasks or hold several conversations, or as in my case, read multiple books simultaneously. Men's brains, on the other hand, have a more generous portion of white matter. White matter, which is made up of neurons, actually inhibits the spread of information. It allows men to concentrate very narrowly on a specific task without being distracted by thoughts that might conflict with the job at hand. In addition, men's larger skulls contain more cerebrospinal fluid, which cushions the brain. Scientists theorize that this reflects men's history of engaging in warfare and rough sports, activities which bring with them a high likelihood of having one's head banged about. Our brain's very different makeup leads to our very different methods of interacting with the world around us. Simon Baron-Cohen, author of The Essential Difference, Men, Women, and the Extreme Male Brain, has labeled the classic female mental process as empathizing. He defines empathizing as the drive to identify another person's emotions and thoughts and to respond to these with an appropriate emotion. Empathizers are constantly measuring and responding to the surrounding emotional temperature. They are concerned about showing sensitivity to the people around them. The sympathetic quality can be observed in virtually all aspects of women's lives, from the choice of typically female-dominated careers, nursing, elementary school teaching, no way, social work, to reading matter popular mainly with women, romantic fiction, articles about relationships, advice columns about how people can get along better. Oh, half that drives me crazy. To women's interaction with one another, which typically involves intimate discussion of relationships with friends and family and sympathy for each other's concerns. So powerful is the empathizing mindset that it even affects how the typical female memory works. Ask a woman when a particular event happened, and she often pinpoints it in terms of an occurrence that had emotional content. That was the summer my sister broke her leg, or that was around the time Jean and Mary got into such an awful argument. Likewise, she is likely to bring her empathetic mind to bear on geography. She'll remember a particular address, not as 11th and Market Streets, but being near the restaurant where we went on our anniversary, or around the corner from Liz's old apartment. In contrast, Baron Cohen calls the typical male mindset systemizing, which he defines as the drive to analyze and explore a system. I lost my spot. Explore a system to extract underlying rules that govern the behavior of a system. A systemizer is less interested in how people feel than how things work. Again, the systematic brain influences virtually all aspects of the typical man's life. Male-dominated professions such as engineering, computer programming, auto repair, and mathematics rely heavily on systems, formulas, and patterns, and very little on the ability to intuit another person's thoughts or emotions. Reading material most popular with men includes science fiction and history, as well as factual how-to magazines on such topics as computers, photography, home repair, and woodworking. When they get together with male friends, men are far less likely to engage in intimate conversations than they are to share an activity, watching or playing sports, working on a car, bowling, golfing, or fishing. Men's conversations is peppered with dates and addresses illustrating their comfort with systems. Back in 1996, when I was living in Boston, the best way to the new stadium is to go all the way out Walnut Street to 33rd and then get on the bypass. Do you recognize yourself or the other gender in your life in this? Isn't it interesting? One final way that men and women differ is in their typical responses to problem solving. Ironically, it may be this very activity, intended on both sides to eliminate problems, that creates the most conflict between partners of the opposite sex. To a woman, the process of solving a problem is all important. Talking about a problem is a means. I'm so half man. I sit there and that's me. The process of solving a problem is all important. Talking about a problem is a means of deepening the intimacy between her and her partner. The very anatomy of her brain, as well as her accompanying empathetic mindset, makes her want to consider all sides of a question and to explore various possible solutions. To have a partner who is willing to explore a problem with her is deeply satisfying. She interprets that willingness as an expression of the other's love and concern. But men have an almost completely opposite approach when it comes to dealing with a problem. Everything in their mental makeup tells them to focus narrowly on the issue, solve it, and get it out of the way. That's my husband, for sure. The ability to fix a problem quickly and efficiently is to them a demonstration of their power and competence. When a man hears his female partner begin to describe a problem, his strongest impulse is to listen briefly and then tell her what to do about it. From his perspective, he has made a helpful and loving gesture. From hers, he short-circuited a conversation that could have deepened and strengthened their relationship. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not big on touchy-feely stuff, y'all. The challenge that confronts men and women is to put aside ideas of better and worse when it comes to their many differences. Our diverse brain development, our ways of interacting with the world, and our modes of dealing with problems all have their strong points. In some circumstances, a typically female approach may be more effective. In others, the classically masculine mode may have the advantage. Our differences aren't going to disappear. My daughter, now a middle schooler, regularly tells me she loves me, while her teenage brothers express their affection by grabbing me in a headlock. Learning to understand and appreciate one another's gender-specific qualities is the key to more rich and rewarding lives together. And I love this article because I think it talks so much about the differences between men and women. And yes, I am empathetic. Why do I cry when I read poetry if I weren't empathetic? Are you okay? Did you swallow wrong? Okay. We're going to have to go do the Heimlich on Claire back there. Okay. So let's look at these questions. Okay. So let's see. How many are there? Let's see. Abernathy, why don't you do the odd numbers? Everybody else do the even number questions and answer those. Okay. And I know it's tough. You're going to have to flip back and forth. So Abernathy's doing the odd because Abernathy is not odd. Okay. Abernathy, odds. Everyone else are doing the evens. So you got about 10 minutes to do that. Extra credit. Oh, okay. Well, we just lost our sales rep at McGraw-Hill. It's like I never contacted her anyway. So if you want, let's see. So that kind of breaks the questions up. So you have, some of you have multiple choice, some of you have some that answer. So you guys have do your best. And if you wanna work together, you can do that. So you can say like, Megan and Jesse can take question 2, and Claire and Zach can take question 4. How about that? Would that work? And then you're not having to do, so you can break it up into groups, so, you know, Crosbyton, break it up, however you wanna do it. Would be great if I could hear the answers. I'll have to go stand over by the, and I'd offer my book, but no, this is not a book with the answers. Awesome. I never have the answers. I'm gonna have to answer them myself, so. You're even, yeah. Abernathy has the odd numbers. Okay. And if you're curious, I'm actually having to answer the questions, because this is not one that has the answers in it, so. Not there, like practice many times. Gonna give you like another minute or so. So hopefully you divvied up the question. There's that Texas word, divvied up.
Knock, knock. Your Nutrisystem delivery is here with a month of delicious meals, satisfying snacks.
आज मैं आप लोग को बताऊंगा कि अगर आपके MS वर्ड फाइल में मेन्यू बार में यहाँ पे पेंस का ऑप्शन या ड्रा का ऑप्शन विजिबल नहीं है तो उसको आप किस तरह यहाँ पे डिस्प्ले करवा सकते हैं। तो उसके लिए आप फाइल की ऑप्शन पे क्लिक करें, यहाँ पे लेफ्ट साइड में सबसे आखिरी ऑप्शन यहाँ पे क्लिक करें।
Not what I want. I don't know what language you're speaking, but it's not one I understand. I was trying to figure out how to get draw back into Word, however I've lost that option, but that's not the right person. Okay, let's go over these. I'm just trying to help stuff out and it didn't work. All right, so, I'm gonna kinda, well, if you can't, I was gonna do some highlighting, but I thought, yeah, better not. Because if I do the highlighting and then take it off, I may lose the textbook, you know, the way things are going with me in this computer today, or this week. So the first question says, and this is an Abernathy question, which of the following statements best represents the implied thesis of born to be different? Can you guys make the sign of the letter? Or whatever. Abernathy, what'd y'all come up with?
A.
A. I heard that. Awesome. You gotta talk really, woo, yeah. And they're not showing video next door, so I don't think they're having class today. Because there aren't any cars in the parking lot, are there? It was empty, so that tells me that they may be meeting somewhere else. So yes, although the author believed that gender differences were learned, if you guys want to write this down so you can go back when you're writing yours and think, okay, because this is a very well-written document, okay? It's, although the author believed that gender differences were learned rather than inborn, experience with her own children convinced her otherwise. And that's really, truly what that implied thesis is. Though if you were paying any attention, there is a thesis in the concluding paragraph, okay? Because that's what I went to on one of the other questions, because I knew it was there, so kind of cheating. All right, my folks here, my other schools which had number 2, which statement would best serve as a topic sentence for paragraphs 6 and 7? Lorenzo, what did y'all come up with? What letter? Got to holler it out. Okay. Like, if you went with, you can do this, wait, hold on, you can't say, you can do this, come on. You can do this for A, this for B, this for C, and D would just be the last one. What do you think? A, B, C, you went with C? Okay. Crosbyton, what did y'all go with? A, B, C, or I don't know what D. If I knew sign language. Are you saying A? They went with A. How about SBC? What did y'all go with?
C.
C. Okay, so let's look at these. We'll start off with C. Although men's brains are larger than women's, men and women score equally on tests of intelligence. You use that as the topic sentence. Is the question, is it about intelligence? Is that what's being asked? Okay. When you go back and look at paragraph 6, let me get back there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. It says, to begin with, let's look at something as basic as the anatomy of the brain. There's your topic sentence. The anatomy of the brain. And that actually turns out to be, because of their different construction, men's and women's brains function differently. Isn't their construction, isn't that the anatomy and is the construction? So it should be A. All right? I'll write that down. It should be A.
We were kind of back and forth.
And that sometimes it's as simple as that. Whereas this focuses, because it brings in intelligence, that's not what the paragraphs are about. They're not about intelligence. They're about how the brain is actually constructed affects how people think. Okay? So after 3, we're back to Abernathy. What statement below would best serve as the topic sentence of paragraph 11? A, B, C, or D?
D.
Did you say B?
D. Dog.
D is in dog? Okay, D is in dog. Let's look at that. Paragraph 11 is the one that goes, I'll just read you out of the textbook really quickly here. It says, but men have an almost completely opposite approach when it comes to dealing with the problem. So you're saying that D should be, men's approach to problem solving is the opposite of women's. Isn't that what it says? So D, write D down, okay? D down, okay. Well, listen, the only good news I've had is that the gentleman at the Region 17 who handles ITV told me that the equipment is finally starting to arrive. But I'm assuming all these issues with not being able to get stuff is affecting getting our new equipment in. Because it would be lovely to be able to sit in my chair and hear them speak and have all the microphones working. All right, so we go to SPC, Crosbyton, and Lorenzo for this one. What evidence does Lewis provide to the claim that women operate from an empathizing mindset? What do you think, Zach?
These occupations that most women.
Yeah, the occupations of women. Crosbyton, do you have anything else besides the occupations? I'm just trying to involve everybody. That was paragraph 8. Hold on, I'm coming over. Say it again.
He put an example of like what the women read, like romantic fictions
The
and
literature they like to read. Lorenzo, what did you come up with?
That was Lorenzo. pressed it too early. My bad.
Oh, okay, so Crosbyton, how about you guys? There's one more. Jobs, what they like to read, what's the third one, the third example? What's the name of my toes for some reason?
Interactions.
Yeah, interactions with other women, okay? And I'm gonna be honest, there's nothing like walking back. I'm gonna be honest, I have some younger friends, we're talking significantly younger, in their 20s, and they're all about, the girls are all about getting together and they go out and they just have a time where they get and they talk about what's going on in their life and how they can improve each other. And I'm like, oh no, I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna do that. That is not me, and I'm sorry to say. All right, so now we come back over to number 5. According to the author, what are the 3 major differences between men and women? This would be your thesis statement. I'm going to come over here so I can clearly hear Abernathy, okay? Wait a second. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do something. Wrong direction. Hold on. I'm going to see if this will work. There we go. Okay, now I'm listening. Now you can see me. Okay, now I'm listening.
Problem solving, females are more empathetic, and the anatomy of the brain.
Brain development. Okay, problem solving. What was your second one? What did you say?
Females are more empathetic.
Okay, that might be a little too specific. I think it's more of the ways they interact with the world, okay? Okay, so look what I can do. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, okay, I figured it out. I'm using technology to my advantage now. Okay, all right. So we're up to number, you guys got the hard one. No, you didn't. 6. Let's see, what do y'all think? Has the author presented her evidence? This is Crosbyton and Lorenzo on SPC. Has the author presented her evidence one side at a time or point by point? Here's one side at a time, here's point by point. So give me a clue. One at a time or point by point? I'm hearing that. What do you think? Crosbyton? Point by point? Okay. What do you think, Lorenzo? Point by point. Okay, awesome. We're doing sign language. Hey, it's okay. And physical activity, it stimulates. It is point by point, but it's not, but what has happened is that for each point she's making about men and women, there are 2 paragraphs because she has enough information to write 2
Your
paragraphs.
conference is scheduled to end in 2 minutes.
Because this essay is probably about, 1,500 words. So you've only got 600 or so. If you're writing 1,500, you're writing too many. But that's why there's 2 paragraphs, because there's enough information about how women do it, and notice how it's how women, and then how men, how women, how men. See how that organization works? It kind of helps, doesn't it? Okay, Abernathy, you've got the fun one now. As shown by the outline below, what are the organization of the paragraphs? Let's move over here. Okay.
The introduction is paragraphs 1 through 5.
Okay, hold on.
So-
1 through 5 is the introduction. I'm letting them know because they can't, my other students can't hear you, okay? Next up.
Supporting point 1